Hello, guys, and welcome back to the second part of this session where I will show you how to find the places where your relatives were. And we are already talking about New York and about my family over there. But for every family, what you should be aware is the neighborhood, because those places are the reason why your family decided to settle over there. In my case, well, the nice Jewish family from Brooklyn, you can see all the Jewish places around, the different addresses that I have collected. But it doesn't matter if it's New York or any other part of the world. You always have city directories that will help you find your family. In my case, I was looking for a Max and Molly singer. And yes, I found them in this US city directory of the Brooklyn, New York. I was able to see information. I see that the spouse Molly was implied. I can even see the date of the marriage was implied, and all that information is coming just simply from looking at this city directory. And talking about looking, let's look at that page. Definitely a lot of information. So let me zoom in and maybe go as deep as I can, where you can see right there Max and Molly, restaurateurs, which seems to be the keyword assigned to people that deal with food, even if it was not a restaurant, but just a grocery store. They are H, which is owners or homeowners, and the address 1619 58th Street, which I already knew. So these are my people. Now, if I go back to the record, here I can actually do a reverse search and find out who else lived at this address. So take into account, search not only by the name of your family, but also by the address you have for them. And yes, actually in the same page, I found another person, another singer, in this case, Jacob, who is a student and who lives in the very same address of Max and Molly. Now, this is not surprising for me because I do know that Jacob, Dorothy, Bessie, and Julius were actually Max and Molly's kids. So it makes sense that Jacob will be studying and living with the parents. Once I have all the places, I will suggest you to have a way to see them all together and to be able to follow the different addresses that you have on your research. What I did was taking all those addresses and put them into the Google Maps, like directions, how to go from one place to the other. And I was able to track the different uh, paces or the different travels that my family did in the Brooklyn area, but this can be done in any place of the world. Now, whenever we are dealing with world events and places, you need to take into account that those borders actually change during the course of the history. In this case, I brought you an example from Poland. Poland, at some point in history, was a huge country, but in other parts of the history, Poland didn't even exist. So when you go to the census or to any other record, then you just see that the family is coming from Russia, from Poland, or from a specific country. Take into account that the borders change, that may have been correct for a specific time, but not for others. If we take a look at what happened on World War II, and the different borders also change over there dramatically. Countries were actually created and disappeared for many, many years. And then you will be able to follow the history of your ancestors. And then also take into account that whatever country the people remembered that it was at a specific point, it may have changed by the time they immigrate or arrive to a different place. And you have other websites that will help you identify the different places in history. For example, the genealogies has a very innovative map explorer that allows you to overlap historical maps over Google Maps and see how the streets and the distribution of the population change over the years. Also for Germany, the Berlin historical maps allows you to select different pieces and different maps and overlap them over the Google Maps and move the transparency to be able to see more clearly either the historical map or the actual map. Very useful if you're planning to visit those places. Wikimap's Whopper also has a lot of maps, historical maps from all over the world, not only Europe, not only the United States. You just need to look for the right place and have a little bit of luck in case you have found the place. There are other websites that allows you to look for places. In this case, one of my preferred is Billion Graves, because people who lived in a place and died on a place normally were buried on that same place. So normally what I do, I go to Billion Graves, I select search, and here I change to search for a cemetery search, and then I put the city or the country and zoom in and out and try to look for the different cemeteries in the area. And with a little bit of luck, Billion Graves or other websites may even have a photo record of the burials and the tombstones over there. So it will save you a little bit of troubles and time travels. You will be able to find the tombstones of your relatives. And even if not, if you identify the right cemetery, I suggest you that you write an email to the administration of the cemetery, request for information, and people will be able to provide you with a little bit more of information. And by the way, do you remember the phrase of Lord Harold Samuel's, location, location, location? Well, I did a little bit more of research on this case of location, and I found out that actually was not Lord Harold Samuel who invented this or created this phrase, because Harold Samuels was actually born in 1912. And the phrase was already used way before that, when Lord Harold was still much younger. So he just took this phrase and, as I did, apply it to whatever occupation or whatever things he was doing. Guys, it was a real pleasure for me to be able to be here and to enlighten you on how you can find the location where your family were. Thank you very much for your attention and enjoy the rest of the conference.